Hello everyone, my name is Joe and this is Aquatics Planet. Now, before I get started, I just want to make one thing perfectly clear, that I am not an expert on aquatic plants. So today I'm going to be talking about water hyacinth, in particular the dwarf variety. Now, let's go over the description of the plant. Let me take one out of this bin here. This is dwarf water hyacinth. It's dark green. It has ovalish type of leaves that are thick. It has a short stem and a bulb. Feather-like roots. And the difference between the dwarf water hyacinth and the more regular or common water hyacinth is the dwarf stays small, and the common or the regular water hyacinth grows much larger. It can grow a few feet up to or about a meter. So this has a very short stem and it doesn't have any flowering. The regular or common one has or produces a purplish colored flower. So now let me give you a little bit of highlights about this plant. This plant was introduced to much of the world in the late 1800s or early 1900s. It's originally from the Amazon basin area. It's a tropical plant. It likes to, it thrives, it grows much better in warmer conditions, but not too warm, like extremely hot conditions, over say 95 or so degrees Fahrenheit or 35 degrees Celsius, or really cold conditions like under 50 degrees Fahrenheit or under 12 degrees Celsius. Okay, so this plant made its way around much of the world, and when it did, like when it reached the United States, when it went to Asia, when it went to Europe, when it went to Africa, when it went to many parts of the world, it wreaked havoc on their local ecosystems or waterways like streams and rivers and ponds, lakes. Wherever this plant went, it took over. It's an invasive species and it quickly reproduces. So, with that said, that gets me to my experience. What I have here is a 100-liter bin, or about 25 gallons. I set this up about 3 months ago. And first I had the bin cycle for about a month before I got any plants or any fish. I do have a few goldfish in here. You can't see them anymore. Well, neither can I. This plant completely took over the bin in the last 2 months alone. I only bought a handful of these plants. They're relatively cheap. You can get them in many places here in Japan. They go for maybe about $1 in US dollars, about 100 yen. So I only got a handful and they reproduce like crazy. So today I'm going to be getting rid of a few of these to make room for maybe another type of plant, or just to be able to see my fish better, you know? I can hardly see them at all. So I'm going to be removing some of this plant and moving it to another bin. I did mention it's an invasive species, so I will not be putting this in some kind of local stream or getting rid of it in a river or anywhere else. I'm going to remove it from this bin and put it in another bin. So let me get started. Now remember, when you're removing this plant, sometimes they have baby or daughter plants attached to them. I'll show you one. Here we go. You can see that this one has 2 or 3 baby or daughter plants growing out from the sides of it with these stems. The stems easily break off, and it's not going to hurt the plant if you do break them off. I'll break one off right here. This will continue to grow on its own and produce its own baby or daughter plants. Let me put these in the bucket. I have a bucket, and I'm going to fill this bucket up to transfer them to the other bin. I want to get rid of as many of these as possible from this bin. We continue to take some out. Now, as you're taking them out, you also want to take a good look at the roots of the plant. If you have fish that lay eggs, this is a good plant for fish that lay eggs. The little eggs will get attached to the root system and eventually hatch. This is a great place for them to nest. So I'm removing as many as possible, and I'm going to put them in this bucket. Giving a quick look at the root system so that I'm not taking out any eggs along with the plant. I can hear the goldfish moving around. They're going to have more room to swim. This plant really has taken over this bin. Now, before I get into the next part and remove more plants, I want to make sure you guys understand, before you get off this video or before this video ends, that you understand one thing. If you understand anything about this plant at all, remember, if you notice it's a water hyacinth plant and you have this, it's a great plant, don't get me wrong. It has its purposes in the aquarium hobby, but it doesn't serve much purpose outside of it. It's just a destructive plant, and you don't want to destroy your local ecosystems. It can even kill fish in some cases. Like it absorbs a lot of oxygen, and it's also not good for dogs. Be careful of dogs. It's actually poisonous to dogs. Cats probably won't eat it, but I wouldn't let your cat eat it if you have a cat. Can you eat it? You can. I think it's not such a harmful or poisonous plant to people, but I'm not going to recommend it. If you want to do further research of your own and find out maybe ways that you can eat it if you're interested in that, but I'm not going to eat them. I'm just going to remove them and keep them, and they do better during the spring and summer months if you're going to keep them in a bin. You don't need a lot of them. Once you buy a few, they will quickly reproduce, so you don't have to spend a lot of money on a plant for your outdoor bin. With that said, let's remove a little bit more of the plants. Every plant that I'm removing has a baby or daughter plant. I am quickly filling up my bucket. I'm going to need another bucket. Look at that. And I didn't even remove all the plants yet. Not even half. I want to remove at least half from this so I can make this plant or this bin look a little bit better with other plants. So if you have any questions, please leave them below. I'll try to answer. I encourage you to read up on this plant. It's very interesting, actually, especially what they used to do in the early 19th century in America. There was this, they were taking over waterways. I think it was in Louisiana, and they wanted to introduce hippos to eat this plant because they said it was working well in Africa. It's a very interesting history about this plant. I would definitely encourage you to read up on this plant. Again, it's called water hyacinth. I have the dwarf type. So let me remove a little bit more of this plant before this video ends. Taking a quick look at the root system with every plant. I also have a thermometer, a little floating thermometer in my bin. If you don't have one of those, you should get one of those too. So I think that's just about it. I covered the description, a little bit about the history and how it made its way around the world. It's sold in many places here in Japan. It's sold in flower shops. It's sold in department stores, not department stores actually, in home centers, I mean. It's sold in aquarium shops, pretty much anywhere you can get a plant. This is sold in the spring and summer months. So it's easy to get. That's why I got it. And it's relatively inexpensive. Oh, I see my little goldfish. Oh, that's so much better. I can see them now. So as I continue to remove these plants and continue to look at the root system, I'm really wondering if I see any eggs. I don't. Maybe they're not laying eggs yet. It's still pretty early in the binning season. Right now it's about May, the end of May. So I filled my bucket. I need a new bucket. So I'm going to leave you guys go with that. And I hope you guys join me. I hope you subscribe. If not, I hope you at least enjoyed the video. Until next time, I'm Joe with Aquatics Planet, and have a good day. Thanks for watching again.